Well, I had had a miscarriage at age 38 and was trying to get pregnant for a couple years. And then I decided to seek out additional help. I met with an IVF consultant and decided that wasn't for me. And so I met with or I called another local doctor in the Asheville area, but he said he didn't work with women over age 40 because he didn't have good luck with them. And he referred me to Dr. Leslie Myers. So I started working with her in order to increase chance of having a healthy pregnancy. This is the biggest thing that's different. I have a 14-week-old healthy baby boy named Danny who loves having his picture taken. Well, sometimes tired, but also much more amazed. I'm just truly amazed and joyful, grateful, excited every day to see him. I never thought it would be fun to like just put clothes on a baby, but it is. It's so fun because he's so cute. I started working with Dr. Myers in January of 2020, and the idea was to take supplements and make some lifestyle diet changes. And then 3 months after I started working with her, that would be enough time to prepare my body and get the healthiest egg possible. So then in March, the pandemic started, but I figured, well, I'm probably not going to get pregnant right away. So I'll try. But I did get pregnant right away in April. So, and it turned out to be the absolute best time to grow a baby. Yes, I think that's one of the things that is different about Dr. Myers is, she really encourages people. She really encouraged me to take my health into my own hands and make changes so that I wouldn't be dependent on, medications or even supplements, as much as possible to, even then that's a big difference in my experience from other doctors and even practitioners, that aren't like mainstream doctors. Her approach was just a lot more, she's like, she didn't want people to have to be dependent on her business. She wants people to take their health into their own hands, was my experience. So I definitely feel more empowered with making choices that will improve my health. So I have energy to keep up with Danny. Danny boy, my baby boy. And then especially, my anxiety, like most people's, got pretty high during the pandemic. And she reminded me that I could make choices to be less anxious and that I didn't have to be anxious. And that sounds so small, but it was very powerful and also empowering. Um, and she would just make little suggestions that really stuck with me as far as this is like so specific, but I said, well, if I'm getting in out of an elevator, or if I'm in an elevator and the door opens and somebody's going to come in, I guess I'll just get out. It's like when I was pregnant. And she said, you could just tell them, hey, can you wait till the next one? I don't know. It's a small example of something that has just stuck with me as far as being more empowered, not just with regards to my health, but other parts of my life. So yeah, that holistic approach was very helpful of the mind and the body. And I think that, that made a huge difference in my stress level, my hormone level, the stress hormones, which was very important to me to have tools to reduce stress hormones as much as possible while getting pregnant and then while pregnant. So that was super helpful. Yeah. And there was another thing, because I said, well, how could I not be anxious with everything that's going on? And she said, well, but here's the thing. She said, you don't have to. And it's just, I thought about that a lot in the weeks after, like the days and weeks afterwards, because how anxious I was didn't really help anything. It didn't change anything, you know. And that reminder was so and she really listened. She also, that's another difference I think in my experience from like other practitioners or doctors, was she really listened to what I said. Like that was an example. Like she really listened to me say, how could I not be anxious, and responded to it very specifically. So that was another thing that made her really great to work with, was how well she listens. Yes, I would definitely recommend Waterleaf, and I have recommended Waterleaf specifically for some female friends who have been struggling with hormone issues and have been, their doctors have put them on, you know, birth control, and that hasn't worked for them to regulate hormones, and so then they put them on other things, and in their cases it's made them worse. So I've specifically really encouraged female friends with hormone problems to seek her out and get to the underlying issues, um, and because I know that she could help them to have less suffering and more health. So yeah, I've really strongly encouraged some people to go there, and would recommend for anybody who wants to um, get to underlying issues and, you know, have I don't know if control is the right word, but yeah, just have less dependence on, less symptom control and more underlying stability of health. Well, so one thing was that, you know, I had gestational diabetes at the end of my pregnancy, and Waterleaf, this, you know, let me have, it wasn't part of the package that I had, but they let me meet with a nutritionist, which was very, very helpful to get some more pieces of that puzzle. And that helped to ensure a healthy pregnancy. And another thing that she said while I was pregnant was she really encouraged me to walk every day, because I had fallen off with the exercising at around the second trimester. She said, see, so she was really good at being specific, giving specific examples of changes I could make while I was getting pregnant and then while I was pregnant, and also understanding of how sometimes changes were hard. Like, for example, this is just an example of, I had slightly elevated sugar before I got pregnant, sugar levels, glucose levels. And so she recommended starting the day with, like, instead of a banana in my smoothie, an avocado. And that idea just seemed so disgusting to me. And I was like, no. And she was like, maybe try half a banana and a little bit of avocado, you know, just like make these little changes. So she really met me where I was, which was very helpful in making changes. And then, but she would also be, you know, firm, I guess, when necessary. Like she said, specifically, like if you walk 2 miles, you'll feel a lot better after you give birth. She said it'll make the labor easier and it will make recovery easier. And so that day I started walking like every day, and that helped. Oh, that helped so much with how I felt throughout the rest of my pregnancy. And then I had to have a C-section because his head wasn't turned in the right way. His head got stuck in one direction. So I had a C-section, and they said that one of the uh what's the word? Not a cord, something, one of the arteries connecting the placenta to him was completely empty. So it wasn't working anymore. And it looked like an artery from a baby that had been born like 2 hours before. And so Danny was extremely pale. That one of the nurses said he was the most pale baby they'd ever seen that didn't have any health problems. They did all the tests on him when he was born, and he had nothing wrong. And the nurse and the doctor said, because of how his artery was, that if I hadn't been so healthy, and she specifically said, like, if, you know, if you were obese or if you were a smoker, or if you didn't have, if you weren't so healthy going into this, the outcome could have been very different. So, you know, I really attribute a big part of that to working with Waterleaf, that I was on this super healthy track beforehand, that brought both of us alive, basically, through the delivery. And then I had some complications after the pregnancy as well, after the C-section. And I think it, having that solid base helped so much with the recovery of that and being able to bounce back quicker. So, I look at Danny and I'm like, it's a miracle that he made it out and he's healthy, happy, beautiful boy. So all the things that she suggested were helpful before I got pregnant. If I hadn't gotten pregnant, the things still would have been helpful. And then they were helpful throughout the pregnancy and in recovering from pregnancy and surgery. And I really can't imagine how bad I would have felt, like worst case scenario, how bad I would have felt if I didn't have that solid base, but I feel like we just made it out. Like Danny just made it out in perfect health. Just one little difference even the nurse said that. She was like, if you weren't so healthy, this could have been very different.